Yeah, well, this is Doug here again. I don't know if anyone's gonna listen to this today because Monday's usually a quiet day and few people ever like my Facebook posts except for occasional important ones. So, not sure how some people will react, whether they'll like this video or tune in, but regardless of that, I'm enjoying my everyday life as a writer, and at this time of day, I usually listen to videos on a writing, and today I'm going to listen to Ann Douglas, who is a mother of all author videos. Okay.
The Mother of All Books series is something Canadian, homegrown, and very, very motherish. By that I mean that it has very strong mother voices coming through. And to my surprise, as a mother author who hadn't been taken seriously earlier on in her career, it sort of took on a life of its own. I mean, there was the pregnancy book, then the baby book, then the toddler book, then the parenting book, and then the pregnancy organizer. And then next thing I know, the book was being picked up by publishers in other countries, and initially the US, but then China, Russia, Indonesia, Greece. I kind of lost track after a while of where the book was coming out, but it was very, very exciting. And I think what really made it exciting for me was the fact that I was engaged in conversations on an ongoing basis with mothers who kept writing to me and saying, when you have the opportunity to revise, could you put this material in, or would you consider that maybe there should be something on this? And it was just like an ongoing dialogue with readers. Back in the 1970s, a typical pregnancy book was very, very doctor-driven. In fact, I collect as a hobby vintage pregnancy and parenting books. And one of them, you open it up and it says, don't talk to your mother friends about when you think you're in labor. Don't trust other mothers. Ask your doctor when you think you might be ready to give birth. So ignore all your intuition. Ignore other women who've given birth. Just listen to the experts. I wanted to write the opposite to that kind of book. Sure, of course it's important to have medical information. That's why I have all my books vetted by a team of experts to make sure that the information is accurate.
That's pretty cool. That's an example of an author that I look up to, and I also look up to Edgar Allan Poe, who wrote one of my favorite poems, The Raven, which I will show an example of.
The Raven. Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered weak and weary over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, while I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as of someone gently rapping at my chamber door. "'Tis some visitor," I muttered, tapping at my chamber door. Only this, and nothing more. Distinctly I remember it was in the bleak December, and each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly I wished the morrow. Vainly I had sought to borrow from my books surcease of sorrow. Sorrow for the lost Lenore, for the rare and radiant maiden whom the angels named Lenore. Nameless here forevermore. And the silken, sad, uncertain rustling of each purple curtain thrilled me, filled me with fantastic terrors never felt before, so that now, to still the beating of my heart, I stood repeating to some visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door, some late visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. This it is, and nothing more. Presently, my soul grew stronger. Hesitating then no longer, "Sir," said I, "or Madam, truly your forgiveness I implore. The fact is I was napping, and so gently you came rapping, and so faintly you came tapping at my chamber door, that I scarce was sure I heard you. Here I opened wide the door. Darkness there, and nothing more. Deep into that darkness peering, long I stood there wondering, fearing, doubting, dreaming dreams no mortal ever dared to dream before. But the silence was unbroken, and the darkness gave no token, and the only word there spoken was the whispered word, Lenore. This I whispered, and an echo murmured back the word, Lenore. Merely this, and nothing more.
That's a very good poem. You should all check it out. All right, it looks like Bill Height joined, and so did Catherine and Gunnar DeBusk. That was the voice of Christopher Lee, although his actual title, technically speaking, is Sir Christopher Lee, Commander of the British Empire. I always add the British titles to kind of get on people's nerves. But yeah, here's my own work of literature about my story with autism, and I have a sequel coming out to this in December, hopefully on paperback, but I'm sure it will happen. And here's my other work of literature, my own screenplay that I wrote. All of them are on Amazon if anyone's interested. Thanks for joining me today, and hope things are going well for people.